All right. Welcome along to this session all about alternative revenue for your club. What we're going to run through today are three different areas to help you with adding to the income really. And it doesn't matter which level you're currently at. We're going to run through different options and different ways to basically help you kind of move forward. So whether it's say a football club that is generating, hundreds of millions and has, so many thousands each week turning up through to, a local club and stuff like that. We're going to run through some different options. So myself, I'm Jamie Michael Joseph. I'm joined by Matt Ruddle. Together, we are consulting for sports. We also have marketing for sports and the marketing gym. I'll let Matt introduce himself in just a moment. But the stuff that we do, we've been involved in kind of online marketing, business marketing, and sports marketing for, I've lost count over the years now, how long and how many different kind of areas we've dealt with. But we deal with consulting, we deal with the actual marketing. We're looking at business growth, increasing profits, and maximizing those profits as well in any way that we can. So within this session today, we're not going to go through the normal kind of stuff of sponsorship and partnership and stuff like that. That's a given. That's probably what the kind of revenue streams are for any club at the minute. We're going to look at stuff that maybe you're not thinking about, maybe you don't have time to, explore. And we're going to bring this to your attention to run through it. So just to go back, I'll let Matt jump on and just introduce himself.
Hey guys, so yeah, I'm Matt Ruddle. My background is CRM, data, email marketing. So worked with many clients over the years. Rugby World Cup 2015, British Athletics, during the 2012 Olympics. Probably was sending about 1.5 million emails per day for about 60, 70 days during that period. I've worked with Lord's Cricket Grounds, doing loads of database work and things like that. So, I've kind of been there and done it in the kind of sports industry. And as Jamie said, we've got a couple of different brands that we run between us, helping a whole myriad of different people on different levels and different steps of their journey, whether it's a personal trainer trying to build their business or whether it's a professional trying to supplement their income and make sure that they're sorted for retirement, or even clubs helping them to grow. I've worked with people like Swansea City FC and people like that. So, yeah, we kind of do the whole bag, and hopefully today we can bring some left field thinking for you today to supplement your income as well.
Yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it? That kind of left field thinking, is that there's so many different options that anyone could have, whether, like you said, they're an individual, they're a business, they're, a big kind of sports facility and stuff like that. There's so many options, and let's run through some of those alternative ones. So what we're going to start off with is the kind of stadium facilities that you have, any kind of land, stuff that maybe it isn't being used right now that can be used, and we'll run through the first one here, which is battery storage. Matt, I know you're keen on this one. I'll let you pick it up.
Yeah, so this really is a bit of left field thinking, because for clubs, so to give you a bit of background, I'm the director of rugby for a small club here in Somerset, and actually we've got quite a bit of land. So even though we've only got one team and a small youth section, we've got quite a bit of land that's entrusted to us. So we've got the option of battery storage. Now, this is actually quite an interesting proposition, because it's about, if you've got, say, an acre of land, a minimum of an acre of land, you can actually have battery storage, so storing electricity from the grid on there, which is then obviously passed back. Now, this could actually generate somewhere in the region of 35 to 40,000 pounds a year in income. Obviously, you don't have to do anything with it, but that's per acre. So obviously, if you've got a lot more land, then you can convert this into battery storage. It's all safe, it's all secure, zero maintenance on your part, but actually it's just income because you're effectively renting that land to this company. Now, you'd be renting it for, say, a varied period of time. It could be 10, 20, 30 years, but imagine if you've got 1 acre of land that you can't really do a lot with, and you're renting it out, that could actually generate you almost 1.5 million pounds over that 30-year period. So if you're a small club, that's a sizable chunk, because to improve the rest of the club, it always takes money. So to improve, I don't know, floodlights, that could be 30, 40k. Well, that could be the income from battery storage straight away. And generally what you'd end up having is it would work to actually reduce your carbon footprint as well. So again, as we're moving into a more eco-friendly world, then that can help with other certifications and things like that, which might open up additional funding. It can also generate around 20% of return on investments. And realistically, there's not a lot of investment from you guys apart from allowing somebody to use the land. And if you have got a lot more land, so for instance, if you've got, say, 10 acres, congratulations. But actually that could actually generate you more than £12 million over the course of, say, a 30-year period. Again, for land that's not being used, that's a big chunk of change to actually be brought in. And again, there are other things that might open up in terms of grants because of, as I said, the carbon footprints and things like that. So, it is a bit of a left field move to start with, but, I've seen clubs doing this and actually, that 30, 40K coming in extra per year pays for staff, that might pay for marketing, that might then get more bums on seats, might get more players because a lot of clubs are struggling for players these days. So it might mean that your participation goes up, which means that more bar revenue, wet sales, and things like that. So again, that additional pot of income from leasing a piece of land that's not being used can make all the difference. Yeah, so that's the first one that we've got.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, though, isn't it? Like you said, it's just having land that isn't being used. And this doesn't matter, what level you're at. You could be a Premier League, a football team, a football club that has, different land dotted around. But you could just be, like you said, the local rugby club, that just, they have their pitches and stuff like that, and they have another kind of part that they don't actually play on right now. And we're talking with a football club which is quite low down in the pyramid, but they have a block of land. It's a good few acres. It's next to their stadium, and it's in trust. So it's been passed down throughout the different times and stuff like that. It's in trust at the moment, so that when they do get to a certain level and they need to build a new stadium, well, they've got the land there to be able to do it. They don't need to move grounds and stuff like that. It's all there, but they can't do anything with it until they're at that point. And that point seems quite a fair while away, so why not take advantage and earn some money from it right now?
And that's exactly it. It is, land is a big, big asset that if you're not doing anything with it, it's pointless. What's the point of having it? Because, for us as a club, we could have a second or third pitch, but actually when we've only got one team, it doesn't really matter whether we have 2 or 3 pitches because, yes, we can rotate on a Saturday, but it doesn't really matter. It's not generating any income. The grass still needs to be mowed, it still needs to be maintained and so forth. So there's still a cost to that, but actually converting it into battery storage could actually make it pay for itself and then some.
Yeah, exactly that. So next we have solar panels.
Yeah, solar. I mean, let's face it, we're in an energy crisis at the moment, and therefore, anything that can be done to cut the costs that clubs are actually having to pay out these days can be massive. And again, this kind of also goes hand in hand with the battery storage, because you could be generating that electricity. Because again, if you look at some of the bigger clubs these days, where they've got big stadiums, what are they doing with the roof? They're putting solar panels on there because they've got that brilliant footprint that they can do this. Now, some clubs may think that that's not for us, we can't do that, so forth and so forth. Well, actually, you can, because if you've got a clubhouse, well, why not add solar panels to it? And again, there's funding available for getting the solar panels from places like Sport England and people like that, who will help you. In fact, there are actual funds that have been set up for places like Community Energy England and places like that, who will help you get solar panels with grants, which will obviously then cut down your running costs. So, use that footprint of the facilities, the building, to actually start generating your own energy. Imagine having a club that's not paying anything for their electric. And when you think of the amount of electric that clubs use these days, there's the lights, there's everything that goes with it. you could have charging points there. I'm sure that some clubs have electric tractors to go and cut the pitch and stuff like that. Cutting those costs as well as being able to make some money is a huge thing. So, and we're not going to mention it here, but there's also the whole biomass heating and things like that. All of these eco-friendly, carbon neutral elements that you can actually add in that will actually save you in the long run. Because again, if you can save on your costs, then that's just as much a win as actually raising more income.
It is exactly that, isn't it? And the thing is with like these panels, I mean, they've been around for so long, haven't they? That I think they just get forgot about. Yeah. People forget that this is an option, and especially if maybe they think they've missed that boat, or maybe they think it doesn't kind of provide the income, that they need. But it's all added in, it's all extras. And like you said, you could have a stadium there, you could have a training facility, it could be a clubhouse, it could be, all different kinds of things that you have. And there's, I know, like you were saying with the grants and stuff like that, which is great. I think, the more you can get on that kind of side of things, the better. But I can remember dealing with a football club a good few years back, and they were looking at sponsors and partners and stuff like that. One of them was an energy company. And like part of the deal, like what they were looking at there is taking over actually supplying energy to the stadium. They would pay, X amount for the kind of sponsorship for the season, and then the next year they still had the the rights to provide energy to the stadium. So it was kind of like a win-win. The club obviously made the money, and that company obviously made the money as well. But right now, I mean, you could do exactly the same thing. If the grants aren't there or anything like that, you can look to a company, to kind of install these in. But you could look at it as part of a partnership program and stuff like that as well. So that's
let's face it, that if you're a sports club and you're getting bums in seats on a weekly basis, to watch the games, to watch the training, to just use the facility, teaming up with a company that provides solar panels and doing a deal where they get some advertising, sponsorship, things like that around the grounds to promote, then it'll cut the cost. And if it cuts the cost, yes, if you can't get a grant, then so be it. But if it makes it cheap, it's a longer investment. But at the end of the day, it's all about becoming more sustainable. Those are the kind of buzzwords that you often hear flying around. And again, with big clubs, falling on the wrong side of all the debt these days, anything that can cut the costs and make the club more sustainable, can only be good things, because it'll help the club grow. And that's the big element to it.
And a massive part, like you said there, mate, is that sustainability and looking at the long-term play. I think everyone is guilty of looking at next week rather than next year, and never looking at 10 years away.
Yeah, and that's quite easy in sport. I mean, as I said, I'm the director of rugby for a club, and I've got to look towards Saturday, and I've got to make sure that I've got a team that can take the field on Saturday. I've got to make sure that I've got boys at training, and that's the first and foremost, because at the end of the day, if we don't fulfill fixtures on Saturdays, then we're not playing rugby. And it's the same as off the field. We've got to look to the event that's happening on Saturday and so forth. But actually, we've got to look at the end of the season, next season, the season beyond, of going things that we can put in place now that will make life a lot easier further down the road. Like the battery storage, like the solar panels, and like the next things of rates, R&D, and staffing. I mean, it all goes into the melting pot.
Yes, I mean, moving on to this one, then looking at the kind of credit side. I mean, this is something that there's always something about. So like you were saying with grants and stuff like that, there's always some sort of grant, some sort of scheme, that you can take advantage of. There's stuff going on at the moment where there are companies that are helping you reclaim sort of business rates and stuff like that. There are ones that are helping you reclaim tax credits for research and development. There are obviously like apprenticeship schemes and stuff like that where you can in effect get cheap staff, but obviously, staff that are helping you, you're training them and everything like that to get to that point of, being in full-time employment with you moving forward. But the whole point here is there's so many things to take advantage of, and there are different kind of pots for different areas of the UK, even Europe and stuff like that, where there's money in these pots, and it's a case of, you may have a whole finance team, you may have a finance director, you could have an accounting department or an accountant or something like that. And look, they can be busy doing all the stuff that needs to be done day to day. They're not even looking out there to see what is available for stuff like this. I mean, for instance, like we talk about marketing, we talk about lead generation, business growth, and all this kind of stuff. But we charge for that. Of course we do. But for a company, they may be able to get help with that. And I say about a company, every kind of team is a company somewhere, right? No matter how the kind of structure is. So they can apply to get these kind of credits, these extra kind of grants and stuff like that for this kind of helping. So there are these different areas out there. You can take advantage of them. You can go searching for them, or obviously like get someone on your side to help you look at where you can put these in place right now. I don't know if you want to chuck anything onto that one, Matt.
Yeah, I'll often come at these things from a very rugby point of view because it's my bag. But I know that things like this from accrediting bodies and governing bodies as well. So, for instance, the RFU have this thing going around at the moment because the Women's World Cup is coming next year, I think it is, to England. So they're obviously they've got grants and various things to help clubs at the moment to bring on the women's game. So whether and this could be right down to just improving your facilities for women at your clubs, from grants to redo the toilets or things like that. I mean, it sounds really simple, but actually things like that can make a more welcoming environment, which then means that people are far more likely to spend time at your facility. And again, it just gets money through the door, and that's the key element to it.
That's a massive thing, yeah. Money through the door, and this right here. I mean, yeah, you could have a stadium, with staff and stuff like that for the stadium. It could be for the training facility. It could just be that you have an office block, off-site that you have staff in to deal with different kind of things that you can obviously claim back these kind of credits and stuff like that. So obviously, those three that we ran through there are looking at the stadium, the club, the team, the facility, that kind of stuff. Free left field is probably stuff you're not looking at day to day. Like I said, sponsorship and partnerships and stuff like that. They always take the focus point, corporate events and all this kind of stuff. But these free left field kind of plays here can really add up to some serious cash, for you to use within your club. And then that brings us on to the kind of second area that we're going to look at. And this is really just taking advantage of, what you have in place already and sort of maximizing it as well. So we're going to look at the kind of area being business clubs, affiliates, and data. So if we go into this first one, we look at influence. Now, any kind of club, no matter, again, Matt, you talk about rugby, I talk about football, and boxing and stuff like that. But if we take football, we take the Premiership, we've got the Premier League, all those kind of players, all those clubs, massive influence, throughout the whole UK, even, the globe. But if we pull it back down to, a local community club, well, look, they have influence over a local area. So you can really take advantage of this through offering different deals and stuff like that to businesses and clubs and all sorts like that. Now, if you take, for instance, a local club, they may have a local insurance broker, a local HR broker and stuff like that. And instead of looking at this as a big sponsorship or partnership deal for the year, it could just be a one-off kind of thing. So it could be like a one-off shout out. So this could be, for instance, you could get, say, a HR consultant who's looking to drum up more business. You could basically have them as being, a bit of a match sponsor, but nothing official or anything like that. It could even just be a shout out on a social media post that we can just say, look, someone who is supporting us today is making it up. Dan at HR company, this is what they do. This is the company. If anyone's looking for HR sort of software contracts and stuff like that, please have please get in touch with this guy. All right. Now that there may seem like nothing. You could charge, a few £100, maybe even more, for that. But this HR broker, this HR consultant, they could be making thousands from one policy. So to them, it's worth it. There are these people out there now who are looking to basically tag onto your influence that you can have over a local area and take advantage of that for themselves. But, people aren't looking at this. They're always looking at the big kind of sponsorships, the ones for the seasons and stuff like that. So this is a really good play to looking at kind of micro influence and what you can really pick up on. So again, Matt, I don't know if you want to jump on anything with that there.
Yeah, I mean, whilst it's always nice to go for the big sponsorship packages because it brings in the bigger money, it also takes a lot more time. And actually, there are a lot more businesses out there who can't afford it than they can. So actually being able to work with the smaller businesses more on a one-to-one basis or a one-off basis actually then turns it into more of a relationship, which then brings in more income. Because, what do they say? They look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves. So this is kind of what we're doing here is, we're using, that local business community who wouldn't be able to afford main shirt sponsor, stand sponsor, things like this. This is why people do, raffles for sponsorship, of giving the smaller businesses an opportunity to play with the big boys. So this is what we're trying to do, is use people's influence, their social media following. The fact is that local players are local heroes. So therefore, why shouldn't they support local businesses? And why shouldn't local businesses support them? And that's exactly what this is giving the smaller guys a chance to kind of get involved, which if you're there when they're growing, when they can afford to become a shirt sponsor, when they can afford to have hospitality every week at your ground and things like that, they will come because you've built that relationship with them. You gave them that chance. And, who doesn't like a shout out from their favourite players or from their favourite club? It's a great little thing. So it is just about using that. Yes, it does take a little bit of time, but actually you could be working with 10, 20 of these smaller businesses and, just growing that income from them as well, because any bit of income is better than no income.
It's a great point, actually. You say you could have like 20 of these different people, and they could all be basically sponsoring a player for that match or something like that. Now, what a lot of teams do, and even the bigger clubs and stuff like that, they are guilty of this, is they will offer some sort of sponsorship for a player for the season, and especially as you get kind of smaller clubs and stuff like that, it helps them pay to play, it pays for kit and registrations, all this kind of stuff. But once that business kind of sponsors that player, that's really where it ends. Well, actually, if that player, goes on to, do the shout outs and do different kind of things and the club do it as well, it all stacks up and it pays off. And you can obviously start looking at ways how you can earn from that on top of just, a one-time fee. And we'll get onto that in just a bit. But we'll look at automation here, because like with that kind of influence and, talking about business clubs and stuff like that, you can bring people together into, a bit of a group. So, they can network between themselves as well and stuff like that. The whole kind of shout outs thing, the whole kind of stuff that we're looking to do here with helping kind of local businesses and stuff like that, it doesn't have to take too much time from you, because you can set up lots of different automation channels that will just do this for you, so not so much just a set and forget, because you can obviously, take advantage of it. But it doesn't mean that it's going to take time away from you on match day or, leading up to an event or anything like that. I know you're a big fan of automations, Matt, just from a marketing angle.
Yeah, totally. And actually, I use this for my club. So to give you a kind of a bit of background, last season, I wasn't really involved. I was more of a player. And nothing was really done from a business point of view. And it kind of really shocked me that actually we had sponsors ask for money back because they didn't feel they had the value. Now that's terrible for any club. So what we've done this season is we've actually implemented automation, so that every week there are posts going out that thank our sponsors, that get their branding and the logos out there, so that people across social media know who are supporting us, what their business is, what their social links are, so that as a sponsor, and they might only be paying a small amount of money, but they're up there and they're being promoted left, right, and centre from us as a club, and it gives them that warm, fuzzy feeling. Now, again, on match days, we'll do other bits and pieces as well, but we just have this automated. So we use a particular tool, we create a pot, and every time we get more sponsors, we just put them in, and the new ones just keep cycling around. Once they've all been done, they go again. So again, everybody gets equal opportunity. Everybody gets good exposure. It doesn't make more work for us, but what it does is it cements our relationship with those sponsors, which means when we go to them next time, and we'll talk about data and stuff in a bit, but when we go to them next time, we can go, well, you've had these many posts, this is your engagement, this is what's happened, these number of people have seen it. So for your little investment here, you've had quite a bit of exposure. And again, it means that when we come to renew, when we come to upgrade their packages, whatever, there's a whole different kettle of fish, because we can actually go to them, you've had this exposure. But for us, it's all been automated. Same as, we can automate things like emails and stuff like that. So it doesn't work.
I mean, I was going to come on to emails, because I think socials is something where, people waste a lot of time, where the automation side can really work. And like you said, it stops that kind of issue of falling through the cracks. But with email as well, like what's really cool here is that, we're looking at alternative revenue. So where does the money come from? Well, look, saving, on basically what you're spending out by having automation is going to save you money anyway. But what we can look to do here is like you said, email. Someone could sign up to become a supporter, or just into like a fan zone or something like that. They sign up, or look, they start getting emails, through automation. And you will probably send out some sort of email newsletter anyway, but the automation can, fill in those gaps between that newsletter. And in these emails, that's where it could mention, that HR consultant. If anyone is interested in looking at HR, click here, and go through and stuff like that. That then, whoever is the new person signing up to the email, look, they're going to get the email as the 10,000th person, signing up. But it's all done on automation. It's kind of done once, you can play with it and stuff like that as you go along. But once it's done, it's in place. And that there can start, adding more money. So like, say, for instance, the HR guy doesn't want to do it anymore. Well, we bring in the car insurance person, and they fill that slot now instead. So all the emails are just updated that person. So the next person who signs up, they get the new information.
Well, you said in terms of, the HR person doesn't want to do it anymore. Now, obviously, renewals for sponsorship and things like that, it is absolutely huge and is such a time-consuming element. So what you actually automate with this, and again, what we're talking about here is actually, it's either going to make you money or save you time. And something like this will do both for you, because what you can actually have is a process that they become a sponsor today, and then maybe in 9 months' time, 3 months before their renewal's due, you get notified to say, Bob the Builder's sponsorship is coming up for renewal. He gets an email that says, hey, these are our latest sponsor packages, so forth and so forth. So you start to warm them up before the actual renewal date. Now, I've been in a position with a former club where they literally handed me a folder, and these are all our letters that we've sent to our sponsors, and these are all the contracts. And by the time I finished looking through them, I realised that actually they had no current sponsors. They had just left all the boards up, and nobody was actually paying any money, and nobody knew when the renewal dates were or when they should have been renewed. It was just all a mess. Whereas actually, if you use a system and you can automate some of these things, then it takes the guesswork out of it. And it means that it's saving you time. More importantly, it's going to make you money, because your renewals are going to happen. You know when they're going to happen. And if they're not going to happen, you know what slots you've got to fill, as Jamie said.
Yeah, exactly. And that like you said, I mean, that whole kind of sponsorship structure and putting the kind of right software in place and stuff like that. I mean, that's what we do. That's our bread and butter, you know, is like that stuff there. Anyone should have that in place. It doesn't matter, like you said, big club, small club, whatever it is. automation
You'd be
software?
surprised. So I actually did a load of work for Lord's Cricket Ground many years ago. They had 5 databases. So it was totally left hand, not talking to right hand, not talking to another hand and another one, because they had a hospitality one, a ticketing one, they had their shop, they had their business club, they had this, that, and everything else, but they couldn't interrogate it to tell them what they needed or kind of help them to sell more tickets. So that was a massive project of bringing all those databases together so that it could all be reported on, so that we could find people who had bought tickets for a particular day and a particular test match for a particular team, and we could then start to remarket to them. So again, data is such a big subject.
Massive, and it's only going to get bigger, and different channels open up from it. Just to cap this part off, then, so recommendations. You may have heard of affiliate marketing, and affiliate marketing, being an affiliate of a company, is where you get paid a commission for any sales. So if we go back to that whole kind of influence part, and we looked at business clubs, and we're looking at maybe them paying us, X amount for sponsorship or being included in a newsletter or whatever it is, what we could do here is we could turn it on its head, where we could say, hey, Mr. HR person or Mrs. HR person, what we can do here is we can send out this, email to all of our supporters, and anyone who then signs up and goes ahead with you, well, we want a commission, so we want to be an introducer. We want to start earning money from that. So instead of, that person paying you, say, £500 for a month or something like that to have shout outs and all this kind of stuff, maybe now you're taking £500 for every person who signs up to work with them. And that could be from, you're looking at individuals from, so you're looking at businesses that you already have in business clubs or affiliates with, or partnerships with, or they sponsor already. It could be that you just look at the kind of fan base and you just look at individuals. So it could be car insurance, or anything else. And it could be through to you actually recommending what you have in your club to other clubs. So you could say, we've just put in this new system that takes payments and it records data, and we get sheets and all this kind of stuff. And we think it's really good. You should definitely check it out, and you recommend it to that person, but you are taking a commission for every person that goes ahead.
So just on that point as well, is that there are till systems or point of sale systems as well, where you take a cut of the processing fee for everyone that you recommend. So say you're a club, you put this system in place and you recommend it to Jamie's Fish and Chip Shop to take card payments. So now, not only are you making money by using the till system, but actually every transaction that Jamie takes with the system, you get a cut of the processing fee, because obviously with every card payment system, there's always a processing fee. So you might be getting a couple of pence per transaction, which might not seem a lot, but actually that's money that you wouldn't have, because then you recommend it to, Bob's Burgers or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're doing transactions and so forth. So you might end up with, again, going back to the kind of business club scenario of, you might have lots of people in your business club, 10, 20 of them, all using the till system, because not only does it help their business take those payments, but they know, as hardcore supporters of your club, that with every transaction, they are helping you move forward. So all of a sudden, you just see this money coming in because their businesses are growing and they're helping. You've seen it over the years with these online purchasing portals. If you buy anything through this portal, the club will get a kickback. That's the same way with some of these till systems, is that every transaction, you get a kickback to it, a couple of pence, but thousands and thousands and thousands of transactions are going through every single day, which then quickly amount up.
That's it. And everything these days, there is a processing payment in place. Yeah. You pay for anything online, any card or anything like that, there is a transaction cost. Why not benefit from that? Yeah. It's just as simple as that, really. So look, those are the three then that we're kind of looking at, on kind of affiliates, clubs and data, is obviously, look, having the systems in place, having the data and being able to leverage it is what we're talking about here. So many different options again. And moving into, I guess, in a similar way, but we look at match day, we look at maybe events that go on, and we look at fans. What we can do then is we can look to leverage that again. So if we are looking at getting data, that we can leverage, we can do that through so many different avenues, and we can look to profit from it. And one of those is having an app, and you can have obviously different apps and stuff like that. People do this sometimes with loyalty cards. You may have seen that local kind of like the local cafe or something like that. They, instead of it being before, used to have a little card that got stamped every time you bought a coffee, and then on the sixth one you get it free. But now it's all done in an app. So what you can do now is you can add something like that into an app. You start getting people's data, and then they get into your automations and everything like that for whatever you want to do. I know, Matt, you're a big fan on the whole kind of app side.
Absolutely, and I think that there's lots of pluses for using technology within the grounds. So, for instance, with an events company, what we did previously was we built them a chatbot. So a chatbot is like using Facebook and things like that. So we use their Facebook audience, which means we build a database. Now, what actually happens on match days is that around the ground or around an event, we can actually have beacons. Now, a beacon doesn't have to be complicated. It could just be a mobile phone that just has near-field technology and just emits a signal. Now, anybody within a 50 or a 100-meter radius, if they're in your chatbot and they're found to be there, can get pinged a message saying, here's a 20% off voucher for our merchandise. So why not visit the club shop? Or, by the way, our main match sponsor today is such and such. Here's a 10% off coupon to be used in the next 24 hours, something like that. This isn't limited to the ground, though. So if you know of specific haunts that supporters go to before the game or anything like that, or even, heaven forbid, you infiltrate the rivals' facilities and grounds and everything as well, so that on away games you're still pinging out messages to your own fans who are connected on Facebook. It's a great way of taking the power away from things like social media, where you put something out there and you hope that somebody sees it. By having a chatbot with the beacons and push notifications, you're communicating with people who are right there, right now, who have the money to spend, which then means that you're maximizing your match day revenue, not just through the ticket sales, but through the concessions, the merchandise, all those kind of things, which is just absolutely huge. Who doesn't want to sell an extra few beers or, an extra couple of hot dogs from behind the bar and things like that? It all goes to increasing the average spend of every supporter that comes to the ground.
100%. And I think that this to me is probably one of the most exciting ones in a way where it's just so easy that, you could have this next month, in play, working for you and everything like that. And like you said, man, I love that kind of thing of, it gets to halftime, and all of a sudden ping, special offer, burger and a pint at this amount of money, if you get it within halftime, or like you said, maybe it's a case of you win the game, and that push notification just flags up on everyone's phone that just says, look, to celebrate this win, we're putting 10% off for the next hour in the club shop. So, buy as much as you want, that kind of thing.
Years ago, when I was young and a season ticket holder of a particular rugby club, they had a deal with one of the local McDonald's franchises that every game there was a 10-minute slot. If the team scored within that slot, then every season ticket holder would get a free small fries at McDonald's. Now, they often scored during that slot, which is always good. And you go to that McDonald's after the match, and it was rammed. And was everybody just picking up just a small fries for a season ticket? Hell no. They were picking up a small fries. They were picking up a Big Mac, a cheeseburger, a drink, everything and anything. That place was absolutely stacked. So that's the kind of thing that you can do. You can run, again, left field thinking, run competitions. If somebody scores within the next 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, then you get half price points, or, you get 20% off at the club store. Because once you move that crowd into those places, They're not just going to go, well, I just want my small fries and that's fine for me. No, they'll want a medium Coke, and they might want some nuggets, or the kids will want a Happy Meal, and why not? So it's just about using that data, building that audience, and moving them around to where you want them to be.
I love that, and what's really cool there as well is you can look at like things. For instance, like imagine you. I'm trying to think what the actual kind of word is, like the kiosk where you have your burgers and your stuff, right? Like just say you got a load of stuff left, and you're halfway through the second half or whatever it is, you got a load of stuff left. It's not shifting,
Yeah.
That's where you can just go, right, okay, we're going to make this decision and we're going to just bang it out. We're going to say, look, free pasty with every hot drink for until the end of the game kind of thing. All of a sudden someone's cold, they're hungry, they're sat there and they're just like, yeah, I'll just pop down to that kiosk now.
Mate, it's the bums in seats thing.
Yeah.
Theatres and I've done this with theatres and restaurants before, where literally they go, you know what, it's a quiet Monday night or Tuesday night, whatever. I've got 10 tables available. I'm going to send out a message. This is exactly the same principle, like you said, so that wastage doesn't go. So if you buy a pint in the next 10 minutes, you're going to get a free pasty, because we've already cooked them. We don't want them to go to waste. And there you go. It's that push notification through the app. It's that loyalty to people who have not only followed you on social media but might have memberships and things like that with you as well. It's a great way of making sure that you're maximizing your match day revenue from everybody that comes through the turnstiles.
Just another kind of part to that as well is that, look, it doesn't just have to be at the game. You could send people out messages before to let them know that you do have something going on in the fan zone before the game, stuff like that to get down. It could be that you're reminding them to buy their away ticket, for next week and stuff like that. There's all different things that you can do there, but it's all about just obviously looking to put it in place. And offers, I think we covered that a little bit within the app, but what you can do is run different offers, at different times. So for you as a club, you could run different kind of match day offers, but you could just run things which are seasonal as well. So again, having that data in place gives you so many options. So when it is, leading up, recently we had like leading up to Christmas, you have Black Friday and Cyber Monday, so you've got people on emails, you've got people, push notifications through apps and stuff like that. You can start sending them out offers. We've got this going on for Black Friday, we've got that going on. Now you may do something like this already. You may say, yeah, we do this on social media, we do this through email, and that's all good. Definitely have that stuff in place as well. But the times that we live in today and things that are happening with speed, we've got so much going on. Stuff's flashing up on the phone. We go, okay, I've registered that now. I'm going to check that out when I get 5 minutes, rather than hoping that someone sees it, at a certain time.
Well, that's the key thing, isn't it? Is that we're doing this webinar right now, but if somebody sends us a text message or we get a push notification, our phone is going to light up and we're going to have a cheeky look at it. Whereas if somebody emailed us whilst we're doing this right now, unless I've got my Outlook open or my email open, I'm not going to see it. If somebody's put something on social media, I'm not going to see it until I open the social media apps. And even then, I might be too late and there might be another 150 posts on top of it. At least with push notifications and offers, people will see it and people will respond to it. Text messages work really, really well. And I mean, in terms of the offers as well, dare I say it, you almost need to become a bit like DFS, that people always know that there's an offer available. It may not be a great offer this week, but next week it might be an even better one. It might be a case of, I don't know, in the winter months when attendances are going to be down because people don't want to venture out in the cold and the wet. Great, you give a free kids ticket for every season ticket holder. Something like that, because that you get the bums in the seats. Something I always keep saying is get the bums in the seats, because then they'll spend, little Johnny will want a fruit shoot. Well, little Johnny will want a bag of crisps or a bag of popcorn or something like that for the match. Well, again, there's more spend there. They'll go in the club shop and they'll want a new shirt or a scarf. It's raining outside, get an umbrella, anything like that. Having offers on, just again, supplements it. And everybody likes an offer. Everybody likes a freebie. Everybody likes to think, dare I say, that we're getting one over on the establishment. And by them giving me 10% off, 20% off, 50% off, I am getting one over. I'm getting a deal. You know what? I didn't buy that shirt at the start of the season at full price. I'm now getting it 50% off. You know what? The club's still making money. But me as a supporter, are now going to advertise your sponsors out and about. And I feel like I've got an absolute bargain. I'm the clever one. No, the club is.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, the stock could just be going to waste. It's something that maybe you may not sell on, so you are making a profit by doing that. That everyone wins in that situation. I think something really cool, mate, that we haven't picked up on this stuff and looking at data and automation is being able to segment the audience. So we can take some information when people sign up to figure out, okay, look, do they come to games as a family? How old are they? What is it, the kind of things that they like, even down to, it could be what their favorite drink is, you have this information so that you now can go, look, let's send this message out to this set of people over here, because we don't really want to be sending it to the families and stuff like that to let them know that the Thatcher's is, going off at this price right now.
Other drinks are available.
Yeah, drinks are available,
But this is what I did with Lords, is because we wanted to be able to target the database. Now, we know cricket, unless it's T20, you've got the county game or the 5-day internationals. 5 days for one match. I mean, yeah. But we basically got the database sorted so that we could tell you, I don't know, England could have been playing India coming up, for instance. So I'd be able to tell you everybody who's bought previous 5-day match tickets for England versus India. I'd then be able to go, okay, well, you know what? We're sold out for the first 3 days, but Thursdays and Fridays, we haven't really got a lot of people. So we could interrogate the database to say, show me everybody that's been to an England-India match who normally buys a Thursday ticket, who hasn't bought a Thursday ticket, so we can sell them a Thursday ticket. Because we know that intelligence of that's why the games they've come to before. Of course, we can search on other things, but it just narrows it down. So we're communicating with a small, targeted set of people with an offer that they're more likely to actually respond to.
And that's exactly, isn't it? They're making the offer, otherwise they may not ever do it until you put the offer in front of them. They may feel obliged to take it up. Once they say, let's say anything could be going on, they forgot about it, something's, taking their attention away and stuff like that. So just by making these things, like someone buying a ticket, all of a sudden now, look, that's income that you wouldn't have had, And
look, that offer thing, it works on so many levels. Outside of sports, my wife wants new curtains for the lounge. Last week, they weren't on offer. This week, 25% off, bang, sold.
That's it. They got you, though.
Exactly. There's more money gone.
I love it. And I mean, all this stuff that we've kind of mentioned as well, with kind of data you can have apps, you can have different softwares and all this kind of stuff, but you can also start small. So if you are like a small club and stuff like that, just getting people onto an email list, even if you're really small, it could even be you get people into the likes of a WhatsApp group or something like that. You can get really kind of niche with this, really small, or you can go massive. And memberships is something which I think memberships have always been great, where people want recurring income and stuff like that. People want to be members, they want to belong, they want to be included. And right now, with the technology advancements and stuff that we have so many options that we can, get people into, a great kind of a great platform, that we have where they can interact and they can do all kinds of things and get all kinds of information. We can start charging for that, if we want to. We could do stuff for free also, but we can start charging for that. And we can build as many different memberships as we want as a club. We can bring in players, we can bring in fans, we can bring in all kinds of stuff. So yeah, memberships.
So memberships, just to kind of put it out there, I think people often confuse memberships with season tickets. Mm-hmm. So obviously season ticket gets you to the game, it gets you to the match, it's your seats, that's your thing. Memberships are a slightly different thing, that they can be an add-on. So obviously as a club, one of your biggest assets are your players, because the fans want their autograph, they want to be close to them, and therefore memberships are a great way of closing that gap and building that community, because You can have your best players doing exclusive content in these things, not just from a fan point of view, but just imagine that you have, I don't know, it could be some random football club wants to build kind of an online academy to inspire the next generation. They might not take people to their youth team until they're 16, 17, whatever. So therefore, the young kids that are out there, they want to emulate their favorite players, learn from their favorite players. You could easily create a membership where somebody's teaching them how to pass, how to run, how to save a goal, how to take a penalty, all these kind of different things by watching videos. And let's face it, kids will watch videos left, right, and centre. That is why YouTube is the second largest search engine out there. But you could build this online platform. Now, you could sell it as cheap as chips. It could be something like $14.99 per month. Now, you get 1,000 people, and that's almost £15,000 a month coming in. Just think of that over a 12-month period. You're talking almost £180,000 coming in just from this online platform, just from this basic membership, which again gets people into your ecosystem, which means you can push other offers, other services, and so forth. But you're getting the next generation coming through. You're strengthening that bond. You can run competitions in there, do whatever you want. But for 1,000 people coming in, paying £14.99, 15 quid a month, you're then getting £180,000 a year. What could your club do with an extra £180,000 a year?
And that's just one membership. Like we said, it could be different memberships that you have and stuff like that as well. Like just imagine like something really simple as well, that you're just going to have fan chat or something like that. And you imagine like a Facebook group or something like that. It's some kind of forum, but it's just on an app on their phone. So they can message whatever they're kind of thinking. People can comment and all this kind of stuff. You could have that. You could charge something ridiculously low for that.
Yeah.
A couple of thousand of fans a month, doing that. It's, it all adds up.
Well, you build it into your season ticket as well, maybe. But you look at a lot of clubs have supporters trusts. Now I know from my dealings with them, because I've dealt with loads of supporters trusts over the years. Used to work with Supporters Direct, who was their governing body. I can't remember what they've changed their names to now. But I know people like Swansea City, for instance, have around 20,000 people within their supporters trust. So that's 20,000 people paying a yearly membership to not even the club, to the supporters trust. So therefore, if a club could tap into that, that's a great additional income stream. Again, even if you charge 10 quid a year for those 20,000 people, it's 200 grand. 200 grand is a lot of money to any club, regardless of whatever level you're at. It's an extra £200,000 coming in. And again, that could even be £10 a month. Those figures then will just be absolutely ridiculous. But again, it just shows you the power of a membership that isn't a season ticket. So again, keeping that definitive line in the middle. Season ticket is obviously the traditional bums in seats. Membership could be something else entirely, but it's about that value.
Yeah, that's exactly, isn't it? It could be anything. It's all about adding value to the person. We're not looking at just going, how much more money can we take from each individual? It's looking at, okay, where is that fair exchange? What can we do to give them something that they would value, they would want, it would benefit them, it add on to their experience, and they would pay a little extra to have that each month.
Yep.
And there are people, I think every club, it has its sort of like diehard supporters and stuff like that. But of course, they're going to be doing this. I think as well, just something to mention, I think you spoke a lot about rugby. I know you brought cricket in as well. I spoke a lot about football. But all the stuff that we're talking about here is of course any kind of sport.
Yeah.
You can, and again, like we're saying, at any level, you can do different things to take advantage of this. And I mean, something really simple just with memberships, like, it could be people participating in sport. It could be you have a tennis club and people come along to play. It could be that your memberships, you have different tier memberships, and all that can be done through automation and apps and all this kind of stuff. Now they can start getting offers and all this kind of stuff. Again, having all of that data, that you can take advantage of. But I think for us, what we wanted to do with this session is just run through some alternative revenue options, for you. That this isn't, an exhaustive list or anything like that. This is just free for each side that we kind of looked at, where we thought, okay, look, what can you quickly put in place depending on what you have and what can bring you income quickly. We looked at this, it's a longer play, but obviously, look, you start earning straight away. We looked at this side, this can be done today, if you wanted to. And like I said, this stuff here could be done within the next month. You can really, do this. And, I guess that's it. I guess is all that kind of stuff. Now it's over to you. There's some areas that we've gone through today where you could have been like, you know what, we want that out of our club, or, we tried doing something like that, but we didn't do it that way that you mentioned it. So, what could we do? And what we're going to say, look, let's talk. We've got strategic sessions that we have, for dealing with athletes and clubs and stuff like that. We do charge for these, but what we're going to say is a thank you for watching this. Is look, get in touch with us and we can arrange a time, to have a chat. We'll run through some different areas that we think could help you. And obviously, look, if you need some support with that, we can discuss that. But, at least you'll be able to bounce some ideas around and look at what you can do. So I think that it kind of brings us to an end, Matt. I don't know if you want to add a little extra onto that.
Yeah, like you said, this isn't the definitive list. There are always other things to be thinking about. There's always discussions that Jamie and I have every day. There's always discussions that we have with other partners that we work with who come up with some fantastic ideas as well. So there's always a solution to every funding issue. It's just a case of having value and just putting it out there. And again, people that we work with for battery storage, solar panels, things like that, we're always happy to make the introductions as well, and see what happens, really, because at the end of the day, our goal is to help clubs survive, not just survive, but to actually grow and engage with their fans on a regular basis. So yeah, if there's anything that we can do to help, or even if you want to pick our brains, as Jamie said, we offer sessions that put us to the test. At the end of the day, we've been there, done it, got the t-shirts, we fought the battles, helped clubs get sponsorship, we've helped clubs grow their fan base, we've helped clubs just get better at what it is that they actually do so that they can move forward for the future. We're here to help. Ultimately, that's our goal, that's our why in business. Let's have a chat.
Mate, I love that. You hit the nail on the head there. It's like, look, we want to help them so that they can continue helping, for generations to come and stuff like that. I mean, that right there, look, every sport, every club is going to be different. There are going to be so many things which are the same across the board. And there are going to be things which are really bespoke to you. There's going to be things that you want to do depending on what your mission is and everything like that. Bottom line is that it always comes back to money. The more money you have, the more options you have to, put more stuff out there and do more things. And that's basically what we're looking to do. I think, Matt, you summed it up where you said, look, it either saves money, makes money, or it saves time. Why not do both? That's what it's all about. If we can help you do both, that's what we want to do. It could be looking at what you already have in place and looking where we can tweak things to maximize it, or, leverage that time. It could be looking at putting new things in place to really take advantage of. So what we'll do, we'll put our email down below, which is just info@consultingforsports.co.uk. Send us over an email and we'll work out a time then that we can jump on a Zoom or something like that to have a chat. And we can just go from there. So just say thank you for watching this, and let's look forward to speaking in the future. See you then.
Cheers, guys.